I gotta cook because I've been seeing this. This is irking me, and I looked into this. One of the best, one of the greatest to ever done it. But I need to, with Keefy D being locked up and Vlad TV constantly, Vlad just constantly milking this issue. So many people on the internet just spreading. I don't know if people consciously doing this, but it's just so much misinformation about this situation, especially with Diddy and other things that Diddy is accused of. They're just kind of putting things together, and people are not taking the time. I know we have a hard time reading in this society. I know we have a hard time comprehending things. I know this is a very, it's hard to keep people's attention nowadays. I get it, but I'm gonna get into this. I'm gonna just get right into this. So, what started this rumor? And I believe that Diddy had nothing to do with 2Pac's murder at all. And I'm gonna break this down piece by piece, brick by brick, why I believe this. And you're entitled to your own belief. But what started this rumor back in the day was like a mixtape that Diddy was on. And also this whole death row chain and this bounty thing. I think what gave that was just a small thing. But what really started this rumor was Greg Kading. Greg Kading, former police officer, Popo. When he started pushing his book, Murder Rap, he started this. And I believe he put Diddy into this situation to sensationalize it. I'm talking about starting online. Now, Keefy D allegedly made some comments about Diddy to the police back in the day. Not this time. This time he did. But he made some comments. He made some remarks. But Murder Rap put gas to this whole situation with Diddy. Also, Vlad TV. Vlad TV monetized this, and before Keefy D was arrested, before he went to Vlad TV, Vlad and Greg Kading pushed conspiracy about 2Pac's murder and Biggie's murder for money and a lot of lies also and half truths. And they did it for money. Kading did it to push a book, to make a living off of this whole situation. Now, I want people to go back and look because you don't have to read this in video form. I want people to go back and look at after Keefy D was arrested for his alleged involvement in 2Pac's murder. Prior to his arrest, Greg Kading went to every where anybody wanted to have him, where he could promote his book. And he was talking about Diddy being involved in 2Pac murder. Like he cracked the case. After Keefy D was arrested, there were a couple interviews. One was from Vlad, and Kading was interviewed again. He started to distance himself from those comments, this whole Diddy involvement. And I'm going to tell y'all why. Kading started to distance himself because investigators and the police were now involved and they were starting to investigate what happened to 2Pac, and they also arrested Keefy D. So if Kading inserted himself into this, he could have been brought into the trial, whether as a witness or he could have even perjured himself on the stand, and he didn't want to be involved in that because Kading has been lying and saying to sensationalize Diddy's involvement for financial gain. That's it in a nutshell. Now, we're going to get into why Keefe D is doing it, but I'm talking about why Greg Kading did it. And he started to backtrack after that whole Keefe D arrest. Then Diddy got into his issues, and his issues were domestic, sex trafficking, all these accusations with the feds. Then Kading started to pop back up and tried to mention certain things about Diddy. Well, when you go to Kading's interview with Vlad a year ago, last year, he started to put that strictly on Keefe D. And the reason he started to do that is to distance himself, because he didn't want to be brought in as a witness or somebody who had information about Diddy's involvement in Tupac murder. Also, if the feds had this information about Diddy being involved, they would attack that onto the RICO, because there's no statute of limitations on murder. Hits for murder, solicitation, is no statute of limitation. Diddy would be cooked. It's the reason why they didn't do this. And the reason is Diddy had nothing to do with Tupac's murder. Keefe D. Keefe D and his legal team, part of their defense is to throw it on Diddy. And if you throw it on Diddy, right, that can get some reasonable doubt. It can help Keefe D. His first defense was he had nothing to do with it. He was just selling a book. So it just sensationalized it to sell a book. Keefe D was saying that. That was the first defense. So you went from, I'm just selling a book and I have nothing to do with the murder itself, to Puffy put me up to it. So I thought you had nothing to do with it. I thought you were just selling a book. Everybody else that was involved in the shooting, they're dead. But you were just selling the book. While you was doing the interviews, you were just trying to make some money and sell a book. But that's not it. Now it's Diddy. You see how that go? Because Diddy being in the news for other things, that could give him some type of leverage in his case. That's why Keefe D is doing it. Also, if you go into Art of Dialogue, open up your Google Bible to Art of Dialogue's interviews with Keefe D. Keefe D never said Puffy paid us to go out to Tupac. Keefe D basically said what it really was like a gang situation, and Tupac, Suge, and members of their crew put their hands on a guy who was known for putting in work in the streets. And when you put your hands on somebody that's known for putting in work in the streets, that usually don't end well for you. And I think the real situation is, I love Tupac. And what a lot of people on the internet don't want to accept is Tupac got involved in some gang stuff and it cost him his life. That doesn't take away the greatness of Tupac. He just got caught up in something. He was a very young man when he passed away. It happens. King Von got caught up in some stuff and it cost him his life. It happens. Right? Orlando Anderson was a known Southside Crip that was known for putting in work. If you beat up Orlando Anderson, let's just put our thinking caps on. So if the Southside Crips and Keefe D, known guys, were there to put a hit on Tupac, why would they stage a beating? That doesn't make sense. They will be in the shadows, right? Why would Orlando Anderson be walking around a casino with cameras everywhere where he could get into an altercation and get beat up by Tupac and Death Row? Explain that to me. They will be waiting in the shadows. Puffy paid them $1 million. Wouldn't they be waiting in the shadows? And they would have got Tupac and Suge and them, period. Why would that happen? Nobody ever asked that question on this internet. That why would Orlando Anderson them stage a beating? What happened was We can go into the death row chain being snatched, the alleged altercation between the Bloods and the Crips in LA, the Power Rules and all that other stuff. Because if they got paid by Puffy $1 million, that's one thing they would have went, stayed in the shadows, did they hit, got out of there. Also, Puffy has lived in LA for years. If Puffy owed the Southside Crips money, they would have $1 million, they would have knocked Puffy off years ago. Now let's go into Zip, and we're gonna go into Gene Deal because we got to call it down the middle. Gene Deal said on Doggy Diamonds, when Doggy Diamonds asked about Diddy's alleged involvement, Gene Deal said he saw the check. I saw the check. Talking about Zip, trying to link Zip, Puff, to Keefy D, and the murder of Southside Crips. Now, if you listen to Gene Deal now and on his lives, he just say, "Oh, well, I just saw the check. I didn't say Diddy had nothing to do with it." As much as Gene Deal don't like Diddy, he also stated that he believed that Diddy didn't have anything to do with 2Pac's death. He didn't put a hit on. But that also fueled a lot of this nonsense. Gene Deal coming to the internet with that. I'm just going to keep it all the way real. So let's go into, I'm going to put the link in this video from a source. Because, you know, you got to cite your sources, right? US Today did a write-up in September 2025, September 7th, about Diddy's involvement, Keefy D murder case and all this, his new defense about Diddy's involved. Blame it on Diddy. They got a quote from a Las Vegas Police Department spokesperson. And the Las Vegas Police Department said Diddy has never been a suspect in 2Pac's murder. Case closed. Nothing Katie's talking about, nothing KD or none of Vlad or anybody talking about. It should just be case closed. It's not case closed because people want to believe that it's true. And that goes into this thing. Conspiracy theories on the net. That's another conspiracy theory. Now, I know we don't want to accept what happened to 2Pac, but it happened. 2Pac been gone almost 30 years. Some of y'all believe the earth is flat. Keep it all the way on. Some of y'all listen to what's to do Billy Carson talk about aliens under the ground and aliens and all this other stuff. Some of y'all listen to Terrence Howard, and they got, and I could say this is a fact because it's millions and millions of views. Terrence Howard is just saying anything, and some of y'all listen to this. Y'all listen to Kerry Hilson with the 5G. So some of y'all love y'all conspiracy theories. I'm not saying that there's no conspiracies. I'm talking about these outlandish, and this 2Pac Diddy being involved is a conspiracy theory. Some of y'all have made yourself to believe that that man put a hit on him. And they trying to throw all this time at Diddy, and they didn't bring this up, the feds. Nobody charged Diddy in the hit for 2Pac because you have made yourself believe it. You don't have to have proof. You don't have to have anything. You've made yourself believe it. And content creators have been able to use this for monetization and money in their pocket because they understand that it's a lot of people that believe this nonsense. And I'm keeping it real. And it's unfortunate. But I truly believe that Diddy had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the death of 2Pac Shakur. It started with Greg Kading and Keefy D. Greg Kading sensationalized this and outright lied to sell books for his own pockets. Vlad TV platformed Kading. and others for his own pockets. Keefy D is trying to throw stuff at the wall to get out because at first he wasn't involved in 2Pac's murder. He was just saying that for a book, for money. Now, Diddy paid him to do it. Which one is it? The Las Vegas Police Department has stated that Diddy has never been a suspect in 2Pac's murder. All these people have created this for their own thing because this is conspiracy theory. Diddy had nothing to do with 2Pac's murder. Tupac Shakur, greatest rapper ever, brilliant man. I hate that it's happened to him. But what I accepted over the years is that Tupac, he was in a tough situation, got with Death Row Records, started running with a lot of dudes from the streets, Bloods, who had all types of issues. Orlando Anderson, known Crip, got into some altercations. They beat up Orlando Anderson. Orlando Anderson was stepping in the streets, certified, and you cannot beat up a guy like that. They're going to come back. If it's not that night, they're going to catch you later. And Orlando Anderson, with his crew and his uncle, Keefy D, allegedly, got into a car. They saw Death Row, and they shot and killed Tupac Shakur. That's what happened. It's no conspiracy. It's no Diddy, no $1 million hit. There's no way Diddy would have been able to be in LA on them $1 million. There's no way he gave them $1 million and there's no record of it. Especially some guys who all these dudes be telling too. Right? So there's no way that if he paid them $1 million, Orlando Anderson is gonna be walking around the casino with cameras and everything and just get it in the way where he can get jumped. They're not that smart. They're just stay in the shadows and they would have got Tupac. Eventually. That's just it. It was just a situation with Tupac Shakur got running with a crew that he shouldn't have been running with. Got into a situation with a dude that they shouldn't touch like that, and he lost his life. It had nothing to do with Diddy. Biggie, we're gonna get to Notorious Big too. It could have been some stuff with that, but that was a hit. Now you see Notorious Big situation. Somebody just pulled up out the shadows and shot him. That's a hit. Nobody stepped inside there and played fight with staged the fight with Bad Boy, and then no, there's no reason for somebody that's going to hit you to do that. That's just common sense. And to sum this up, the federal government of the United States, they would have found paper trail. They would have found everything. They have the means to do it, and they would have put that murder on Diddy if it was factual. They know it's not factual. Vlad knows it's not factual. Katie knows it's not factual. Keefy D knows it's not factual. And they know that man had nothing to do. Now, he's done his own dirt in his own world, but that's one thing that Diddy didn't have anything to do. And that's just my opinion. So, hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments, y'all. Because we could do this all day. We could go inside of the comments and we could, start putting facts and putting information, in here, because I don't know a lot of people. I know a lot of y'all think the earth flat and you could just get online and say stuff and whatever. Cool. We're going to see. But just subscribe to the channel. Thank you. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.